Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a report so thrilling it's like watching paint dry. But with numbers, we're looking at Marathon Petroleum's filing from April 30, 2025. It's their yearly check-in with shareholders and some interesting things happen, especially how people voted on important company decisions. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where you can chat with other investors and decode the corporate world together. Let's jump right into what matters, the voting results from their annual meeting on April 30, 2025. This is where shareholders, the people who own a piece of the company, get to say what they think about how things are run. They vote on directors, auditors, and even executive pay. First up, the election of directors. These are the folks who sit on the board and help guide the company's strategy. Shareholders voted to elect Evan Bayh, Jeffrey C. Campbell, Kimberly N. Ellison-Taylor, and Kim K.W. Rucker as Class 2 directors. They'll be around until the 2028 meeting. Looking at the numbers, Evan Bayh got about 97.7 million votes in favour and about 20,028 million meaning for and about 822 million against. Lastly, Kim K.W. Rucker received approximately 19.8. What's also important to note is that there was a big chunk of broker non-votes, around 52 million against. Lastly, Kim K.W. Rucker received approximately 19.8, tied about 8.23 million against. Lastly, Kim K.W. Rucker received approximately 19.88 million votes in favour and about 2,022.9 million, meaning these shares weren't voted on by brokers holding them. This can happen for various reasons, but it's something to keep an eye on as it means a significant portion of shares didn't act. Next, the shareholders voted on who gets to be the company's independent auditor for 2025. This is super important because the auditor makes sure the company's financial statements are accurate and trustworthy. PricewaterhouseCoopers got the nod. About 20.62 million votes were cast in favour, about 3.1 million against, and about 81,400 favour. About 3,000 abstained, which means they didn't pick either side. This is a pretty standard procedure, but it's good to see shareholders backing the choice. Now here's a vote that often gets some attention, the approval on an advisory basis of the company's named executive officer compensation. Basically, it's a vote on whether shareholders think the top bosses are getting paid too much or too little. It's advisory, meaning the company doesn't have to do what the shareholders say, but it's a good way to gauge investor sentiment. About 19.9 million votes were cast in favour of the compensation packages, while about 14 million voted against. There were also almost 1 million abstentions. Again, a pretty significant number of broker non-votes at almost 53 million. This shows a bit of a split in how shareholders feel about executive pay. Here's where things get interesting. There were a couple of proposals to change the company's restated certificate of incorporation, which is like the company's rule book. One proposal aimed to declassify the board of directors, meaning all directors would be up for election every year instead of having staggered terms. The other proposal sought to eliminate supermajority provisions, which require a really high percentage of votes to approve certain big decisions. Unfortunately for the company, both of these proposals failed to pass. They needed at least 80% approval, and they didn't get there. For declassifying the board, about 210.4 million voted in favour, about 1.7 million voted in favour, about 1.7 million voted in favour, about 1.7 million voted against, and almost 843,000 abstained. The proposal to eliminate supermajority provisions received about 21 million votes for, about 2 million against, and about 82,000 abstentions. And once again, almost 53,000 abstained. The proposal to eliminate supermajority provisions received about 21 million votes for, about 2 million against, and about 782,000 abstentions. And once again, almost 53,000 abstentions, and once again, almost 53 million against, and about 7,823,000 abstentions. And once again, almost 53 million against and about 782,000 abstentions. And once again, almost 53 million broker non-votes. It seems a lot of shareholders weren't. Finally, there was a shareholder proposal pushing for a simple majority vote, meaning that most decisions would only need over 50% of the votes to pass. This proposal also failed, receiving around 1.22 million votes and favour around 109 million against and around 1.2 million abstentions, with that familiar 53 million broker non-votes. So what does all this mean? Well, it suggests there's some disagreement among shareholders about the direction the company is heading, particularly when it comes to corporate governance. Proposals to loosen up the rules and make it easier for shareholders to have their say didn't get enough support. Now let's zoom out and look at the big picture. Marathon Petroleum is a massive player in the oil refining and transportation game. They're in a tough industry, with prices going up and down like crazy and increasing pressure to be more environmentally friendly. Not getting these changes passed could mean they're a bit slower to adapt to new challenges or opportunities. Plus, those high broker non-vote numbers can be a sign of apathy or disengagement among some shareholders. It might be a good idea for the company to reach out and try to get more of those shares actively voting. Overall, Marathon Petroleum seems to be in a stable position, but these voting results suggest some underlying tensions with shareholders. It's important for the company to listen to these concerns and find ways to bridge the gap. Alright, that's our breakdown of Marathon Petroleum's latest filing. What's your take on these voting results and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into the corporate world, and don't forget to join our Discord community in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.